The Silent Yard. Hit that subscribe button if you dare to step inside a place California wishes it could erase. The wind cut through the cracked concrete like a blade as investigators stood over the body. It was just after 5 a.m., the fog still clinging to the old stone walls of San Quentin State Prison. The yard was silent, too silent for a place that usually buzzed with early morning movement. Even the guards seemed hesitant to breathe. Detective Mara Ellingson had been called before dawn. She'd spent her entire career investigating crimes behind prison walls, but San Quentin always unsettled her. It wasn't the size, the history, or the aging cell blocks. It was the atmosphere, like the place itself held its breath, waiting for something to happen. The victim lay near the entrance of the upper yard, positioned strangely, almost deliberately. No signs of a struggle. No witnesses willing to speak. No camera footage they could rely on. The cameras in that section had gone offline just minutes before. That alone sent a ripple of unease across the investigative team. Because in San Quentin, nothing just happened. The first guard Mara questioned, Officer Damian Holt, looked shaken. Not guilty, shaken. He kept glancing over his shoulder as if someone stood behind him. It wasn't supposed to happen in this area, he muttered. This part of the yard, it's usually under tight watch. Usually, Mara repeated, narrowing her eyes. So why wasn't it tonight? Holt hesitated. Because someone ordered maintenance on the power feed yesterday. But nobody knows who submitted the request. Mara stepped back. A fake work order. Power down. Cameras off. A body discovered in a controlled yard. This wasn't random. It was calculated. As the fog rolled thicker, another figure approached, a tall man with clipped, precise steps and a stare that missed nothing. Warden Cole Rennick. San Quentin's youngest warden in nearly a century, known for his strict policies and near-obsessive need for order. Detective Ellingson, he said with a firm nod. This incident needs to be resolved quickly and discreetly. The state is breathing down my neck. They're already talking about shutting us down. Mara lifted an eyebrow. I thought those were rumors. Rennick didn't blink. Rumors become headlines in a heartbeat. Behind them, paramedics secured the scene while officers moved silently, avoiding eye contact with each other. A tension hung in the air. Everyone felt it, but no one dared speak it aloud. Mara crouched beside the victim again, studying the details. Clean shoes, no defensive marks, a faint smell of disinfectant. Someone had cleaned the scene. Someone who had access. Someone who knew the blind spots better than any outsider. Then something caught her eye, a torn piece of paper tucked into the man's sleeve. She slipped on gloves and unfolded it carefully. It wasn't a note. It was a blueprint. A blueprint of San Quentin's oldest block, Death Row. Entire sections were circled in red pencil. Old hallways. Storage rooms. Abandoned administrative offices that hadn't been used in years. A chill slid down her spine. Why would someone hide this? She looked back toward the guards. None of them moved. None of them reacted. They were too still, too controlled, like men afraid of the wrong word. Mara, her partner murmured, stepping beside her. Look at the date on the blueprint.
She did.
The blueprint was stamped with a date from decades ago, long before recent renovations, long before the current warden's arrival. But someone had updated it, marking paths and access points that should have been sealed off years earlier. Her partner swallowed. Someone inside the prison is navigating it like it never changed. Mara folded the paper, her jaw tightening. Because whoever created this map wasn't planning one attack. They were planning something larger. Far larger. And when Mara looked up at the cell blocks towering over her, she understood something critical. The closure rumors weren't rumors. They were a warning. A countdown. And this body in the yard? It was only the beginning. The vanishing blueprints. The sun hadn't fully risen, yet San Quentin felt even darker than it had in the fog. Detective Mara Ellingson walked through the administrative hallway with the blueprint sealed in an evidence bag, her footsteps echoing off chipped linoleum. Something about this place felt suspended, caught between its past and its unraveling present. Every guard she passed eyed her with a mix of fear and calculation, as though they were deciding whether to speak or stay silent forever. Her partner, Agent Lucas Red, waited outside the warden's office. He had that look in his eyes, the one that said he'd found something she needed to hear, but she probably wouldn't like. "Mara," he said quietly, "we checked the maintenance request logs. The system was accessed with a master clearance code." She frowned. "Only 5 people have that level of access." Lucas nodded. "And none of them admit to using it. So, the system was hacked." "Not hacked," he said. "Spoofed." Someone inside the building used a mirrored code entry. Meaning, they didn't guess a password. They duplicated someone's identity. The question was who? Before Mara could respond, Warden Rennick stepped out of his office. His shoulders were stiff, his expression strained but controlled. "Walk with me," he said. They followed him down a hallway lined with old photographs, prison reforms, historic wardens, inmate programs from decades past. Rennick spoke without looking at them. "State auditors are arriving within 48 hours. The governor wants answers about the facility's future. And now we have a homicide, system tampering, and officers too scared to talk." "Scared of what?" Mara asked. Rennick stopped walking, turned, met her eyes. "Scared of who?" Something in his voice wasn't anger. It was fear wrapped in authority. That combination was rare in a warden. "And what do you mean by that?" she asked. He hesitated, searching the hallway before answering. "There are sections of this prison," Rennick said quietly, "that haven't been touched in decades. Hidden tunnels, abandoned offices, repurposed rooms that were never logged in renovation records." His jaw tense. "We've tried to catalog everything, but there are areas even I can't access without special clearance." Mara narrowed her eyes. "Who has that clearance?" Rennick responded with a single name. Former Warden Alan Creed. The name hung in the air like dust. Creed had run San Quentin more than 20 years ago, before a series of scandals forced him into early retirement. Mara remembered the reports: mismanagement, secretive building projects, and rumors of unauthorized programs, none of which were ever proven. But Mara also remembered something else. Creed had never spoken publicly about his time as warden. Not once. "Is Creed still alive?" Mara asked. Rennick nodded. "Lives up north, completely off the grid. The department hasn't been able to contact him for years." Before Mara could press further, their radios crackled. "Control to Warden Rennick. We have a situation." Rennick grabbed his radio. "Go ahead." "A search was initiated in storage room C after the incident, and we found evidence the room was accessed last night." A pause. "Sir, the main file cabinet is empty. Entire sections of the prison's structural plans are missing." Mara and Lucas exchanged a look. The blueprints. The ones found in the victim's sleeve weren't an isolated copy. Someone was collecting them. Rennick's voice hardened. "Check the secondary archive, now." But a new voice came through the radio, breathless. "Sir, the secondary archive has been breached too. Every file from the Creed administration is gone." Silence fell in the corridor. Someone wasn't just navigating the old prison layout. Someone was erasing its history. Lucas whispered, "Mara, the body in the yard wasn't an attack." "No," she said. It was a message. A sharp buzz echoed down the hallway, the sound of the facility lockdown alarms activating. Red lights flashed. Gates slammed shut. Officers rushed past them. Rennick turned to Mara. "We didn't trigger that." "What do you mean?" she asked. "The system activated itself." Mara's heart punched against her ribs. Someone had seized control of San Quentin, and they were closing every door. As the final gate clanged shut behind them, Lucas glanced at Mara with a tremor in his voice. If someone can lock down this entire prison from inside, then what are they planning? Mara stared through the metal bars, the weight of the blueprint heavy in her hand. "I don't know," she said. "But whatever it is, it started decades ago." And deep within the old cell blocks, a door clicked open, one no one had touched in years. The investigation was no longer about a murder. It was about a secret big enough to shut down California's most infamous prison. The hidden architect. The echoes of the lockdown alarms still reverberated through San Quentin stone corridors as Detective Mara Ellingson and Agent Lucas Red navigated the upper cell blocks. Every step felt deliberate, careful. Every shadow, a potential threat. The prison had become a maze, a place alive with secrets and old grudges, and Mara could feel the walls watching, remembering. The blueprint weighed heavily in her hands. Each fold revealed corridors she didn't know existed, passages long sealed, doors forgotten by decades of bureaucracy. Whoever had created this map, updated it, and now wielded it like a weapon. They weren't just familiar with the prison. They had lived it, breathed it, and planned for it long before anyone else even imagined. They reached the northern wing, where the oldest cells remained mostly untouched. The paint was peeling, the iron bars rusted, and dust hung thick in the stale air. Mara shone her flashlight across the hall, illuminating a door that hadn't been opened in years. Its lock was modern, newer than the surrounding architecture, and yet somehow it had been bypassed. Lucas swallowed. "This has to be it," he muttered. Mara nodded, pushing the door open. Inside, a small, dimly lit room revealed its secret. Shelves lined with meticulously organized files, blueprints of every wing of San Quentin, schedules, maintenance logs, and personnel files dating back decades. The room smelled faintly of disinfectant and paper, an odd combination in a place so long abandoned. At the center of the room, seated at a small metal desk, was a figure. Not hiding, not running.
"Come."
The man looked up, eyes sharp, calculating. He was older than she expected, but there was a predatory precision in his movements that made Mara step back instinctively. "Detective Ellingson," he said, voice steady, almost rehearsed. "I've been expecting you." Mara's heart skipped a beat. She had heard the name whispered among the staff, the man who had vanished decades ago, San Quentin's former warden, Alan Creed. He wasn't just a man, he was a ghost, a legend, a name used to scare new recruits. And yet here he was, orchestrating something she still didn't fully understand. "Why?" Mara demanded, her voice cutting through the stillness. "Why all this? Why the blueprints, the power shutdowns, the body in the yard?" Creed smiled faintly, leaning back in his chair. "This prison," he said, gesturing to the walls around them, "was never meant to survive in its current state. Corruption, negligence, overcrowding, it was only a matter of time. I didn't start this chain of events to harm anyone. I started it to expose the rot that no one dared confront." Lucas's eyes narrowed. "By killing someone?" Creed shook his head.
"No."
"By demonstrating how fragile it's become. That body, a warning, not a target. The real threat is the system itself and the people who've hidden behind it for too long." Mara felt the weight of his words. San Quentin wasn't just a prison. It was an institution built on decades of secrecy, manipulation, and ignored warnings. Creed had simply become its most dangerous architect, orchestrating a finale that no one else could see coming. Suddenly, the intercom crackled. Warden Rennick's voice was tense, urgent. "Detective Ellingson, Lucas, we have confirmation from the auditors. The closure is moving forward. The state is ready to shut the prison entirely." Creed nodded, standing slowly. "Then it's done. The last chapter is closing." Mara stared at him. "And you? What happens to you?" "I'll disappear," he said, eyes cold but calm. "Like I always have. History will remember the prison, not me. And perhaps that's exactly how it should be." As the first official personnel arrived to secure the prison for decommissioning, Mara looked around one last time. The corridors, the cells, the hidden rooms, it had all been part of a plan decades in the making. She realized that San Quentin's deadliest legacy wasn't violence or escape. It was the control, the secrecy, and the carefully hidden power of one man who understood it like no one else. The doors slammed behind her, final and irrevocable. Outside, the sun cut through the fog, revealing a facility that had survived centuries, but now finally, faced its end. Mara whispered to herself, more to the wind than anyone else. They thought the prison was unshakable. But the truth always finds a way out. And as the gates closed, one final thought lingered in her mind. San Quentin's story was over, but the shadows it cast would haunt California's criminal justice system for generations to come. If you thought this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.